Hello, this is the I Am Healing podcast. This is episode 4, Spirituality. My intention for this episode is for people to know what spirituality means and for them to get a clear understanding of how they can become better individuals, knowing what spirituality looks like for them. What is spirituality? Spirituality involves the recognition of a feeling or a sense of belief that there is something greater than yourself. And I have a special guest with me today, all the way from Los Angeles, Jason Sproul. Can you please tell the people where they can find you at on social media?
Yeah, you can catch me on Facebook. It's Jason B. Sproul on Facebook, and then also on Instagram, Jason B. Sproul. Same thing.
Okay, great, great. If you
Yes,
was to
sir.
just define spirituality, just your definition, what would that be?
Actually, I like the definition you gave. It's the recognition of that there is something greater than self, and it's something a divine nature that we are all a part of. Um, and spirituality for me is more about connecting to the divine nature that I am, and it's not a separation of. So it's me connecting with me, the the greater part of me.
I like that. I like that. So like the different types of spirituality, prayer, connecting with nature, yoga, attending like a religious or spiritual service, and like meditation. What out of those five things, like where do you see yourself being your best self? Do you practice any of those?
Yeah, actually, I do. Not much on the yoga. I've kind of delved into it a little bit. Something I'm gonna have to get some guidance and practice, like with someone, like more maybe not a one-on-one basis, but it'll have to be something a little bit more guided for me. But definitely with prayer, music, nature for sure. Um, uh, Breathing,
Mm-hmm.
meditation. There's different forms of meditation, and breathing is like kind of a part of that. But yeah, those are my big ones, especially the meditation and prayer. Those are big boys. The prayer is something I definitely grew up doing.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation came later on in life.
Okay. That's good. I think I connect more with prayer and meditation too. I'm starting to connect with nature, but like someone told me to go outside and go talk to a tree and just sit up under the tree, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "What?" And so I did try looking like a fool, but I kind of see what they were like saying.
Mhm.
She was like, when you connect with nature and stuff like that, it gave me real Pocahontas. But I didn't talk to the
What?
tree, but I did sit up under the tree, and I can
Mhm.
kind of, if I was an outside person, I can kind of see where I can connect. Do you know people that connect with nature like that?
Yeah, actually, me. Yeah, I do connect with nature.
Okay.
I do, especially out here in California, yo. People out here, like, it's like deep with that type of stuff. People go in big time. But I definitely connect with nature. I always have. Didn't really realize that that's what was going on. That there was a spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a kid running through the woods, playing with snakes and spiders. Like I'm a little kid. We're freaking like I'm over here poking at the spider and like watching how it reacts and like, oh, okay, you telling me to leave you alone? Well, fine, bye. That's
You're talking to spiders?
talking to the spider. You know what I mean? And so it's just like just a kid being a kid. But water is huge for me. I used to when I was living in Dallas, I would go to the lakes quite a bit. Rivers. I would go there. But now that I'm in LA, I have access to this vast ocean and just the sound and just to
Yeah.
see it sit and experience the vastness of such a powerful force that just always it's just a beautiful thing. And so yeah, I definitely connect with nature.
Mm-hmm.
Quiet as it's kept, what's my man's name? The peanut guy that did created penicillin and all the other things from peanuts. I forgot my man's name, but this was way back in the day. Black dude
Mm-hmm.
created all these different healing mechanisms and different things that you can use of the peanut,
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy. And the thing is, quiet as it's kept, my man, he was very connected to nature, and that's how he actually extracted those secrets. My man was
Oh.
literally talking to the peanut, talking. He got into the nature. He
Uh-huh.
started talking to the peanut. Tell me your secrets. Tell me, how can I use you to create healing? And
Mm-hmm.
it literally. And so, obviously, all the best healing comes from nature. I don't
Right.
care what America's capitalistic society says with drugs. The
Mm-hmm.
best healing comes from nature, and it can heal everything
Yeah.
to where you don't have to take drugs every day, all day. You can literally heal yourself. But
Right.
yeah, I'm one of those nature people for sure.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
great.
I'll take hikes too, hikes and all that. Yes, sir.
That's good. I need to work on the nature stuff and not try to feel like I'm being weird.
And
um,
you know what? It might seem a little weird,
yeah.
and it can be, but here's what I say: do what works for you. If it
Okay.
works for you, whatever it is, do what works for you, because everybody connects to spirit in a different way. That's why you have so many different
Mm-hmm.
religions throughout this world, because somebody connected in a different manner. And, like black people have always been some of the most spiritual people in the world. You know what I mean? You got
Yes.
all in Africa and whatnot, but it's just different. Right? So they'll call voodoo, they'll say it's evil. No, it's spirituality. It's a practice of spirituality, and it gets
E-
demonized because it's
Exactly.
not what you have been taught is truth or not,
Exactly.
whatsoever.
Thank you for saying that because a lot of people feel like if you say that you're a spiritual person, spirituality and religion is two different things.
Yes,
They
sir.
do connect in the middle, but it's
Mhm.
two different things. Like spirituality is like, where do I find meaning? How do I feel connected? That's more spirituality. Where like religion is more like going to church or, right or wrong. And, it's very different. So can
Yes,
you,
sir.
do you get what I'm saying? But
Absolutely.
it meets in the middle where because it's both beliefs of like reflection, I guess that's safe to say
Mm.
of like reflection and ethics. But have you heard people try to mix that together and like how is it different for you? Because that's what I think of on both sides. But it's connected, but it's different, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Very, very connected and very. It's for me all my life, because I was raised Christian
Mm-hmm.
in a Christian household. So my belief system, my values, a lot of that, even my values, especially my values to this day, a lot of my values are still very Christian. However, I've since I've released that, and now I just consider myself spiritual, meaning I connect to God. I connect to my higher self, and so religion, the way it's pretty much like you explained it. The way I see it is, it's about doing and acting a certain type of way, and it's about habits that you develop. Maybe it might be praying 5 times a day, or maybe it might be going to church every Sunday or every
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday or Tuesday for Bible study. You have to do things like this in order to be.
Yeah.
And so in Christianity, you'll see different sects of Christianity, because they have all these different belief systems of, you have to do it this way, or
Exactly.
this is the way it's,
Right or wrong.
so
Like I said, right or wrong. Yeah.
right, absolutely, absolutely. And so you have to understand that we're not here to be religious. We're not. We're spirit beings,
Right.
and we are to be spiritual. We no, I take that. We're not to be spiritual. We are spirits. We are
Right.
spirit, and ultimately, certain habits can help you to tap into spirit or connect to spirit in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you don't have to necessarily be religious to be spiritual. That's
Right.
the do stuff.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people kind of get those because they are similar, like I said. But you like you said, you can be a spiritual person and not be religious, you know. But a lot of people feel that a lot of people, like Christians, as you would say, they feel like, okay, the only way I can be better or the only way I can get to where I need to get is if is only through Jesus or only through God. That's it. Sell the whole life and everything else. Which I am a Christian, but I don't
Mhm.
believe in certain things when it comes like that because it's like the right or wrong. It's like that. Okay, this is how you're supposed to be. You can't be your best self without. You know, you're taught that you need Christ, you need this, and you need the church, and you have to go to church, and you have to tithe, you have to do things. It's I guess it's so many stipulations that come with Christianity that kind of
Right.
makes it like okay, religion and spirituality like for me. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's major. It's really deep in Christianity, especially I'll say specifically for the way I was raised. I was raised in part Baptist early part of my childhood, and then Pentecostal in the latter part of my childhood.
Hmm.
And so the Pentecostal aspects, yo, it's like extremely religious. You like any type of sin is bad. Like obviously
Mm.
sin is bad in a Christian,
Yeah.
but you're gonna go to hell and you're gonna burn for eternity and like all this type of things, and you have to do it this way. You can't like all the women wore dresses, like you never saw a woman in pants, like that type of extreme when it came to religion versus spirituality. And so, okay, um, sorry about that. I guess I'm talking a little loud with everything, but yeah. So it's like you have to learn to release. For me, I had to release that the spiritual aspects. I mean, the religious aspects, so I could tap into spirituality much more easily. And when I was in the Pentecostal church, I
Hmm.
experienced speaking in tongues. I was like 8 years old. I
Yeah.
experienced speaking in tongues for the first time, and it was like really, really powerful, a powerful spiritual experience.
Okay.
And so that really looped me into the religious aspects of it.
Hmm.
And I became really religious as well as spiritual. I became really religious, and that locked me into the
Right.
religious aspect. So, yeah. But then later on in life, I ended up matriculating out of it because certain things just didn't sit right with me. A lot of things didn't sit right with me.
Right.
Uh, and so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So like I know we kind of talked about meditating. What are some type of ways that you meditate?
Um, so for me, it's about breathing. Uh,
Mhm.
I I sit and I get quiet, I get
Mhm.
still, and I get out of release just the outside, all the outside
Mm.
influences.
Mhm.
Uh, I get rid of all that, and I just sit and breathe. And the breathing aspects helps me to tap into spirit quickly and
Mm.
easily.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, that's actually one of the ways that kind of took me out of Christianity.
Mhm.
Is because I went to a church in Dallas and the preacher was talking about Tony Robbins, and then one day I looked up Tony Robbins. I was like, "Who's this dude?" And then Tony Robbins one time was talking about breathing can change
Mhm.
your state. And I'm like, what do you mean by change your state? It can literally change you if you're in a funky attitude. And one day I was in a
Right.
very funky attitude. And so I just tried it. And
Mhm.
it tapped me in spiritually to spirit. I was like, whoa, hold up. Like I'm
Mhm.
mad connected right here, right now.
Right.
And that right there was like, okay, all the stuff that I've been taught, this is the only way to God. I'm like, oh, that's not true. That's not true. And then began to dive deeper. And I was a minister, and there's classes they talk about. Um, one particular class was the origins of religion, talk about how
Mhm.
religions were formed,
Yeah.
and that right there like helped to kind of take me out as well. But then that breathing, I was like, whoa, it's all I have to do in order to connect.
Right.
And it's like just just literally sitting down, getting quiet, getting still, inhaling and exhaling. There's different techniques that you can do, but
Yeah.
for me, that's what meditation has been for me, and just getting quiet, and then sometimes you just sit there and then allow yourself to connect to God and to connect to self, and and there's a download. You don't even necessarily have to see it or sense it, but
I
there's
like
a
that. A
download.
download. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a download. And so when people talking about hearing from God,
Yeah.
it's it's because it's already been downloaded like in you spiritually, and you
Mm.
sense it through your senses. Like you use your mind to think, and there'll be certain ideas that'll come to you, and
Mhm.
they'll consistently come to you. That's like a download from the spirit. And like I remember one time when I was like back in 2001, I had this big brick cell phone.
Uh-huh.
I had singular wireless, and it was a brick
Oh,
cell
that's
phone.
old. That is old. Oh
That's
Lord.
real old, bro. That's really old. Absolutely. And I was looking, I was like, man, it would be dope to have a cell phone to where you can like touch the screen because I worked at a restaurant. And at the restaurant, all you do is just touch the screen, put in orders and everything. And
Mhm.
I was like, yo, this would be dope for a cell phone.
Yeah.
And this thought crossed my mind, was in my mind multiple times. Well, guess what? It was out there. Steve
Right.
Jobs had caught it. Steve Jobs had caught the same idea that I caught.
Right.
Difference between him and me is he went and put that to work. Well, that's something lingering up there in the spirit realm,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
if you will. And so when you connect spiritually, you can have access to all these things. The knowledge to fly airplanes, the knowledge for
Mhm.
everything has always existed. You just have to be able to tap in, like my man did with the peanut, to get
Right.
peanut control and things of that nature. So you, it's a divine connection,
Yeah.
if you will. And I know you asked me about meditation, but
No, you're fine. You're fine.
in a whole
Yeah.
nother way. Yes,
I'm
sir.
receiving that knowledge. Yeah, like my form of meditation is cutting off all the lights, lighting a
Mm-hmm.
candle, and
Mm,
listening to meditation music.
mm,
Like just the piece of it to like just block out everything. And I think for me, when I turn off the lights and then when I light a candle, that's how I got into the candle business. Is like I was practicing a form of meditation, and so I would just sit in my closet and just close my closet, light a candle, and just play music. And it's just like something about like the oceans. You mentioned that earlier. Something about just stillness
mhm,
for me just
mhm.
allows me to just let go of everything else on the outside.
Yeah.
It allows me to just not think about it. Nothing is on my mind at all whenever I do that. I do that a lot. And one
Mhm.
of my cousins, she told me to use lavender and like bathe in like lavender. I don't like the smell of lavender like that, but I did that and I turned off all the lights. I lit a candle. I had some wine, and I played some music. And it just stilled me. Like it was like I was just still. So like my meditation helps me just block out everything and like really just
Mhm.
be still. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. And so the fact that you say that it helped you to block out everything, for
Mhm.
me, when I meditation, I first started, I had to try and block out everything. Like it was
Mhm.
me being intentional and
Mhm.
releasing thoughts. As thoughts came, I would have
Yeah.
to release them. And so that's what it was. Now it's just significantly easier because I just, as soon as the thoughts come, I let them go, release them, and then, I could be some anywhere. I can be in the midst of total chaos. I don't need like anything because that's the way I started practicing. And so now I don't necessarily need the pure silence. I don't need, and the music is helpful. There's times when
Mhm.
I do music, I'll use music, but let me get to the ocean, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah. So it's more of
Yeah.
like spirituality is more of like a individual practice. It's kind of like sense with peace and purpose within like yourself. Like that's
Yes.
pretty much what spirituality is. So like how to help the person that is trying to find their spiritual what works for them when it comes to spirituality, like what would you say to that person, like how to discover, like how would a person try to discover like what works for them?
Um, I would say for sure, uh, practice, just trying things. Um, try the things that are already known: meditation, prayer, um, connecting to nature, music. Music is huge a lot of times, which is why it's in the church so strongly, because music can take you there. It can take you there,
Yes.
take you a whole bunch of different ways, and get you pissed off on some stuff or whatever.
That's true.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's real true.
and so that's what music is huge. And so you try different things that'll help connect you to yourself, and whatever works best for you, do that. It might not be anything conventional. It might be some really weird, wonky stuff. Who cares? Do what works for you as long as it's
Yeah.
not harming
That's
anybody
your
else.
piece. That's your purpose and your piece. Yeah. I agree with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. As long as you're not harming anybody else, you're good.
Okay.
If
I
that
like
makes
that.
sense.
So it's more
Yeah,
of
I
like
would
the
say,
spirit. It's more like a spirit inner energy type of thing. Yeah, within self. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's an inner energy, and it just you end up. How should I explain it? It is you connecting to yourself, your divine self. What happens is God is omnipresent everywhere, equally
Hmm.
present everywhere, all at the same time. So you don't have to invite the presence of God anywhere. God already is. What happens is when you connect yourself spiritually, whether it be meditating, prayer, whatever, what happens is you're removing the blinders off of your own
Yes.
eye
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see that which already is. Does that
Hmm.
make sense? And
It
so
makes
what
sense,
happens?
but what do you say to the perfect pastor or the perfect deacon or whoever minister that okay, well, the only way I can even get like that is going through God. I have to get permission from God to even because I think and I only say that because I've heard it a lot, growing up in church and I've heard it a lot just in conversation with people and because I am a Christian, I and the they're just like you cannot make it without God. I do believe that you cannot make it without believing in something. But like, what do you say to like that person? Like, okay, even if you come into with yourself, because we have self things that we have like deep down inside in us, like you said earlier, that is downloaded in us, and then it's like to the Christian, it's like, well, no, God made that happen. God made that happen. God made that happen. Like, what do you say about that? Do you get what I'm saying?
I think I get you. I get you. Number one, God
Okay.
is not separate from us. God is not outside of us. God is not
Mhm.
separate from you, period. You are the essence of who we are is God.
Mhm.
In the Bible, if you want to go to the Bible says, "Let us make man in our image, in our after our likeness." And so, what is the image of or likeness of God? God is spirit. In John, third
Yeah.
John, it says, "God is spirit. And they that worship must worship in spirit and in truth." And so, the essence of who you are is what God is. And
Right.
so there is no separation. Number one, you have to understand that. And then number two is we are a direct emanation of God. Like the sunbeam emanates directly from the sun. That's what we are. There's no separation. Separation is too
Mhm.
strong of a word. You can never be separate from God because that's who you are. That's the essence of who you are. That's why we will live eternally. That's
Right.
why that's why you even have the belief system, which I do not personally endorse or ascribe to, of heaven and hell, to where you're gonna live forever. It's just where. Personally, I don't ascribe to that. I believe that
Yeah.
it's just a state of mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so once you know that, then you have to understand that. I want to circle back to your question again. You said how to, when you got the pastor that's saying, what was your
Yeah, like the pastor, the preacher, the deacon, whoever minister, that's saying that the only way that you can know your true self, the only way that you can connect or even be spiritual is through God.
right? It,
Like, what would you say to that person? I'm specifically speaking to those people. To that because
well,
that's really really different, because it being a Christian and going to church stuff like that, every opportunity God did it. Everything that you discovered about yourself, God did it. You've
mhm,
been you were a preacher and stuff. You know that everything is like God. But with
mhm, mhm.
spirituality, it's different. It's more so self awareness. You get what I'm saying?
Bingo. That's it.
So
Self
it's
awareness is.
different. So, like, what would you
Mhm.
say to the religious person that is trying to put it together? Pretty much.
So I would say number one, what you've been taught may not be right. It's
Mm.
important to question what you've been taught because here's what happens. If what you've been taught is correct, you should be able to consistently get results out of what you've been taught by whatever practice. You should
Mm.
be able to consistently see results. I'm not talking about some here and there. Oh, I prayed and then one day God blessed me with some food and blah blah. Okay, cool, great, that's great. But I'm
Mm.
talking about some consistent whatnot. And so when you connect spiritually, which is kind of somewhat to what they might be speaking to, when you are connected spiritually, not
Mm.
practicing religion, but when you are connected spiritually, that God nature is going to exude through you.
Right.
Okay. And so your purpose, your passion is going to come out because it's already, again, that download, you're constantly connected and everything, it's going to be a major part of your life. You're going to have a strong urge or a sense for a
Yeah.
particular
Yeah.
thing, whether it might be, yo, I can't stand the way they treat these type of people, and
Right.
you say, "What I hate that," and that passion, that sense of
Mm.
urgency
Yeah.
in your behalf, that that's
Yeah.
that's like a that's an idea or an inkling of your purpose, what your potential purposes are. You don't have just one purpose. So you have
Right.
purposes and then so when you stay connected, when you're connected spiritually and everything,
Yeah.
it's automatic. It's gonna come through. And so you don't have to go to church. You don't have to, practice whatever. You don't have to tithe and all that type of stuff. I know plenty of people. Hell, I stopped giving tithes to the church and everything, and I've been blessed. So
Okay. Come on, bless.
you know
Right.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah. I
it's not
like
a
that.
it, yeah, and truth is what you accept is truth. It's what you accept
Yes.
as your truth.
Goes back to your piece, your purpose. That's what spirituality is.
Yes,
Every
sir.
person has spirituality. Every person does. Whatever
Yeah,
moves or express your spirit on an inner part is your spirituality. So that's safe to say that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's safe to
Absolutely.
say that. I
Absolutely.
like that.
And I do give, by the way. I do give. So just want to
You
put
know,
that
you
out
said you don't
there.
pay your tithes. You done said it. The world is about to hear it. You do not pay your
Hey, let them
tithes and you
hear it.
still got money.
I'm still blessed. Still blessed. You dig? You feel me? Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah. But I
thank
do
you.
believe in the principle of giving, though. FYI.
Yeah. Well, you can give it
Yes,
different
sir.
ways. Tithing is not just giving to the church and giving to, you can give in other ways. Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's not just give your 10% and you done. Like, no, you constantly give.
Most deaf. Most deaf.
But I thank you for joining me today talking about spirituality. I think that we definitely kept religion and spirituality different and letting people know how they are different because a lot of religious people feel like they cannot become spiritual because they believe in something. But I really thank you for joining me today. And this
My
is,
pleasure.
episode 4. So thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much. And please follow Jason on social media, Instagram and Facebook at Jason Sproul. And what are some of your spirituality tactics? Do you do yoga? Do you connect with nature? Do you meditate? Do you attend church? Like, subscribe, comment, and let us know. Inbox us, and if you have an opinion, if you disagree with whatever we said, we love to talk. Join the
Yes.
conversation. And thank you again for joining this episode, Jason, with me.
My
And
pleasure.
we are tuning out. Thank you.
My pleasure. One thing,
Uh
get
huh.
out the box. You cannot confine infinite source to religion, to the Bible or whatever book or religious purpose. Get out of that box.
Oh, I love that. Okay, okay. Thank you. That's good. Somebody's gonna put that on Facebook and not quote you. His name is Jason Sproul. Quote him.
You crazy.
Quote him.
You crazy little bro.
All righty. So that's
All right,
episode
brother.
4.